So yeah, Melrose in the Mix. It was a good show today. Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the album. Now this album, you did what, 10 years ago?
Almost 10 years ago. It released about 9.5. It was like November of 2011, I think. Yeah.
By the way, my next record's going to be called 9 and Some Change because of that. So, anyways, yeah. So I was we're looking up some information about you, and you're also a visual artist. Mm-hmm. So, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Well, I actually for a long time was only doing just music. That was like my whole life thing. Like since I was a kid, I was in band. I did marching band. I was a music performance and education major at UCF. Had like a full scholarship on music. I played the saxophone and the clarinet. And I was actually first chair in the UCF orchestra, which is not a brag as much as it is an example of like, that's what my trajectory was.
It's not a brag, but
you know, but that's what I was gonna be. I was gonna be a professional saxophone player, and that was it. And then I started making my own music. I met Swanberger. He started working with me, trying to make me a better person and a better musician. And along the way with that, we ended up making Until the Very End together. And we kind of like co-produced it. He was in charge of the beats and really the fundamental elements of what became the songs. And then it was my charge to kind of add, instrumentation. I worked with Jimmy Say on the bass, worked with Chris Gruda on guitar. And the entire album was recorded in my bedroom in a vocal booth that I actually like built from scratch and stuff. So it was like extremely DIY. But because of like we had comic books that went along, we actually have some of the comic books here as well too. But we had like a comic book series that went along with it. It was like a concept album, and the whole thing was kind of like thought out. And I tell people that I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. And I was hanging out with a bunch of visual artists, the B-side artists, and they challenged me to try and take some of the visual aesthetic that I have with the music and to like actually try to make some artwork with it. So I started with stencils and spray paint and kind of kept going with that and had a lot of encouragement, early on to try some different things. And there's some people in the room who was actually very encouraging, some people on my first show and stuff. And it kind of like just grew into this thing called Franchise Industries, which I make all my artwork under and allows me to be kind of the bad guy character and to use sarcasm and humor to make social issues and kind of activist kind of messages a little bit more palatable and approachable to people by making it more colorful and a little bit more humorous. And the next album, to be able to kind of merge all those lanes together into one thing, the next album that we're working on is called Cover the Earth, and the whole album is going to be from the perspective of the bad guy. So this is the good guy album. The next one's going to be the bad guy album, and it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun to be able to make music like that and not have to worry about your social responsibility to the kids and stuff. You can just kick them.
Just forget you. Awesome. Well, a little known fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but you were part of a film that won audience pick for 2018 Melrose Film Festival.
Yeah.
What was that film called?
I was the writer and director and editor. That film, there's a few of them. I worked with the Maker Faire organization, and I wrote and directed a few like 5-6 minute short documentaries on some of their makers in the community. And I think the one that we showed here was about the zoetropes, which if you guys don't know what a zoetrope is, it's a kind of a circular thing. If you guys saw them, if I had like a PowerPoint presentation, you'd be like, but it's like a circular thing that goes round and round. And when you put a strobe light on it, it makes like still little things kind of come to life. She's shaking her head. She knows what's up. She'll tell you guys about it later. But yeah, we did a little documentary about them, and it won the audience award.
Hey, give it a.
Yay.
This is a question I love to ask all artists that come through. What would you like to see in the Central Florida music community? What would you like to see?
I'd like to see in the Central Florida music community the same thing that I would also like to see in the Central Florida arts community, which is kind of a middleman, whether it's an organization or individuals or agents who take a percentage or whatever, to kind of help bridge a gap between like, hey, I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I am kind of spending most of my time trying to figure out how to write this thing or paint this thing or create this thing or build this thing. And yet at the same time, I'm being like thrown into an arena where I have to be a businessman, where I have to be a social media manager, where I have to know about websites, where I have to know about video production, where I have to know about all of these things. And none of those things necessarily are going to guarantee that you're going to find an audience or you're going to be able to get out there. But, you know, just the ability to have someone be like, okay, well, this is what you need to be working on, or this is how you make a press release, or this is how you create flyers or branding. These are the people that you reach out to for booking in other states and other cities. Like when you're at that ground level, no matter how long you've been at square one and kind of building your own craft and becoming better at it, you still are trying to kind of shoot in the dark and try different things out of experimentation without really knowing whether they're going to click or whether they're going to work. And a lot of times you can get wrapped up in that so much that you're not actually producing the amount of content and music and videos and art or whatever that you need to be making to really be able to have something once someone maybe does kind of discover you or find you or give you a phone number or whatever it is, you know, because there are people up there once you get up to a certain point, like for example, Art Basel. I've been trying to get to Art Basel for years, and I've been trying to like just make sure that I'm ready for if it ever happens, and could never figure out how do you get to Art Basel. Like I know that that's where the people who love art are. They come there hungry for it. They come there. It's the same thing like how do I get into South by Southwest? How do I do all these things? And there's not like an actual application process for it. But once you're there, that's the gallery people. That's all of the people, they want to find something new and exciting. They have that attitude. And if you bring it, then you have opportunities. But a lot of times it's like, how do you even get to show up? How do you get to that place, you know? So I think that would benefit the music and the art worlds of, and I think Downtown Arts District does a great job of that with the artists. I know that Swanberger does a great job with that with the music, but Swam is one person, and I think that having a little bit more infrastructure that's built around like, that person has potential, that person has potential, that person has potential. Let's see if we can, and make money. You know, make money off of me. Take me, sign me up for this, boom, 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 the tours, whatever it is that I need to do in order to get myself out there more, and take that 15% off of it, and I'm glad, because that's more money that's money that I wasn't making, that's commissions that I wasn't getting from my art. So I think that would be a great example of something that would benefit everybody.
Very nice, good. Guys, give it up one more time for Skip. Give it up for DIVINCI, please. And Jimmy, say...